I would like to take you through how you can file your employment tax return in case you had multiple withholding tax certificates. So that means you had your employment income and also multiple withholding tax certificates. So that is extra income, which was subject to withholding tax. That means consulting and management income or income originating from treasury bills and board. So what you're supposed to do, basically, just get into the iTax portal and enter your iTax PIN here. So just enter my PIN here, A015 43 007A. Then you need to hit continue. After that, you need to ensure your PIN is right here. You also need to ensure the password is correct. Then you just need to do a simple mathematical computation, which is 135 plus 14 give me a value of 149. Then you need to log in. When you log in, you shall be taken into this interface. What you need to do, just come to where we have return, then come to where we have file return. After doing that, you need to choose the tax obligation. Choose income tax resident in case you are a resident, and income tax return for non-resident in case you are non-resident or you don't reside in Kenya. So then click next. Then you need to hit here. What you need to do, basically yours here will be original, but mine is populated as amended because I had already filed my original return. Then what I would recommend you download this auto-populated ITR, but ensure you compare the data in the ITR return and the one in your PIN form, and ensure they are correlated. So hit download and then click downloads now. After doing that, what you're supposed to do, basically, you're supposed to come to the downloaded document, which is a compressed document, which is here. So it'll come at the downloads, and they'll come above this document. What you're supposed to do, because before you open it, just click above that document and come to where we have properties, then choose unblock, then click apply, and then you're supposed to click OK. After that, you can come above that document again and choose to extract all, then click extract. When you click extract, the document will populate here. What you're supposed to do, just click above that document and open it with Excel. After doing that, because I will not open to avoid lags in my computer, I have already opened it here. So the document will be auto-populated with your TIN number, the type of return, the return period, and where you have, do you have any other income, because you have income originating from consulting and management services. In your case, it will be no before you open it to yes, to add some sheets which are required in order to populate the values of the withholding certificate. So in your case, it will be like this, where the P9 information will be filled here. So what you need to do, you need to counter check the details in the P9 form, which is let me change this. Okay, it's correct. So you need to counter check the details in the P9 form and the amount which is here. As you can see, we can check the amount of the gross salary which we received, and you can notice a disparity from the one in the pre-populated document and the one in the sheet. So here you can see is the value of 637,794. So what I need to do, so let me remove this here. So I need to come here and take these values. So it is a value of the gross pay, as you can see, is here, is the value of 637,794. 637. So let me try if I can be able to copy it. Let me see if, okay, let me give it time to stabilize. So I need to enter the value here, which is the value of 634. Let me come here again. 637. It is 6 37,794. So I need to come and populate this value here, which is 637,794. I need to enter some detail here. If you have allowance and benefit from employment other than car and housing, 0. I don't have housing allowance or net house value of the housing, and now give me the total employment income XD. So we shall just deal with the PIN information and then get to the withholding tax information. So at the sheet M, where we have M details of the payee, you need to compare the value in the P9 form and the value in the Excel sheet, which have been auto-populated. So we have used the auto-populated sheet. So in my P9 form, as you can see here, the taxable pay, which is here, just come and view it here, which is the value of tax charge, which is from the chargeable pay, is amount of 559,171. So the value in my P9 in my Excel sheet, which have been populated, is 508. So it has been understated. So just input 559,171. So the value of tax payable on taxable salary. So this is usually the summation of, let me show you. So this is usually the summation of the pay amount, of 74,024. So let me open my calculator. So this is the summation. Let me take my calculator from here. So this is the summation of 74,024 added to the annual personal relief of 28,800, giving us a value of 102,834. So I can come here and copy this amount and bring it into our Excel sheets here. So I need to come and populate that amount in this sheet. So this is tax payable on taxable salary. So let me remove this comma here. So the difference between the tax payable on taxable salary and the amount of pay should give us the annual personal relief. So I just need to enter the actual amount of the pay from our P9 form. That amount we can get it from here, which is the 74,024. So it is 74,024. So come here and give it a value of 74,024. And the difference between these and these should give us the amount of the annual personal relief of 28,800. From that thing now, you are good. You can come with the tax computation. And the tax computation is here. And see all the details. So what we can confirm again, you can confirm the amount of the defined pension contribution in our case. So the amount of defined pension contribution in our P9 form, the amount contributed in the pension scheme is amount of 42,940. That is the actual amount, which is lower of the amount which is provided by law of 360,000. So our actual is 42,940. This is what we contributed to the scheme. So we just come here and populate it here, which is 42,940. 940. Okay, so I need to get the value of the affordable housing and confirm if it is correct with the one which we are given here. So the value of affordable housing in the P9 form, we are given as 9,305. So that is the amount which was deducted from the affordable housing, which is the 1.5% of the annual gross salary. So what does it mean? So that one is let me take my calculator. So that one means we are taking 0.015% of 627.21. so giving us a value of 9310.815, so which is technically close to this one, though there is a difference which is occurring here. I don't know why. So this is the actual value, which is 9310. When we round off, it gives us 9311. So let me come and populate it here, which is 9311. So we can come here and get the value of the shift, or what we are calling SHA, which is 2.75% of your gross salary. So it is 0.0275 of your gross salary, which is in the P9 form, which is let's get back to the P9 form, which give us a value of let me close this report here. So multiplied by 620, 721, giving me a value of 170. So 17070. So come here, I can take this value and then do the rounding off from the Excel sheet. So which is giving me a value of 17.770. When I round up, that is because I have already rounded off, and then I come here, enter it here. So I'm getting now this value from here. So from there, I need to come and do the necessary adjustments for the withholding tax. So when I come to the withholding tax, what you need to do, you need to come to where we have the basic information. I wanted us first to deal with the P9 information and then come to the withholding tax with multiple withholding certificates. So I'll come here. There is a quiz asking if I have any other income rather than the employment income. I'll just click yes. So when I click yes, this information is populated here. What I need, you have noticed, we have added the P&L and the balance sheet, and these are the sheets which you focus with. For add the P&L, because as you can see from our P9 form, these P9 forms originate from management consulting, which was above the set threshold of 24,000. So you can notice the gross amount of these withholding certificates, which the transaction must have taken place within last year, which is 2025. So how we usually rule out these withholding tax certificate, you need to notice the transaction date rather than the date of the certificate. So the transaction date must have occurred within the tax period, which is from 1st January 2025 to 31st December 2025. So for the whole year, I was receiving these withholding certificates, so they cover the whole period. So I received an annuity of so despite in January, in February, as you can see, I received an annuity of 55,000 up to the other months which were subsequent. So in the period of 11 months, I received this annuity of 55,000. So that means that for these other certificates, that are the one in January, it was an annuity of 55,000. So that means I have 12 withholding certificates. So in order to get the amount which I'm supposed to populate in the Excel sheet under the commission, which we will fill under the section 1.2, I need to take 55. Let me take my calculator from here. So I need to take 55, which was for 11 months, which is 55,000 multiplied by 12, give me a gross of, multiplied by 11, I'm sorry. It is 55,000 because it was an annuity of 11 months, multiplied by 11, added to the one which was unique in the month of January, which was of January, which was 52 to 50. So it was plus 52 to 50. So 52 added to 52 to 50, giving us a value of 657 to 50. So I need to come here and take this 657 to 50 and put it into the Excel sheet here, which is here. So, and this is the amount. So after putting it here, you will notice, based on the new tax regulation, where the expenses and purchases must be validated by the tax authority, so you notice it will be close to impossible to deduct the expenses which we incurred here, which are the maybe operating expenses or other expenses which are operating expenses which are here. It will not be possible to validate these expenses unless they were TIMS or e-TIMS compliant, but we are not that caught up. If you incur those expenses and you are able to maintain proper keeping of your receipt, there is a section added here. Let me show you. There is a section added here. There is a section added here that the tax computation, which is tax computation, where under section 6, we have the manual and e-TIMS/TIMS expenses. So in this section, this is where you can be able to deduct the amount of expenses which you incurred in case you don't have the e-TIMS compliance invoices. So how do you do that? So I'd like us to get back to the KRA portal and come to where we have returns, and then come to where we have income tax return and adjustments, and come where we have manual and non-e-TIMS/TIMS invoices. When we come here, you are supposed to choose the tax period here. So the tax period is back to 2025, and then click next. So you'll be asked if you want to adjust the manual and e-TIMS/TIMS invoices. Just click OK. After clicking OK, you'll be taken into this interface. What you need to do, you need to download the comma saved values here. So the document you download. So you just need to click above that manual here, which is here. So under this document, I need to enlarge these sections so that they can be clearer to us. So let me expand it here, and expand it here, and expand it here. So here you need to come and input the PIN of the supplier. Maybe you went into a supermarket and did a transaction which relate to your consulting, the income which you earned from consulting income. Maybe you bought some stationaries. Maybe you pay office rent or half of your rent, which is for your personal residence where you are offering the services. All those receipts, you're supposed to populate them here. Then the name of the supplier, the invoice number. You know, even when you go to a supermarket, you are given a receipt which contains an invoice number, which you need to input here, the invoice date, the supplier description, if it was stationary rent or office rent, and the amount. So when you populate them here, you just come here and save this document. So you just come here and save the document. So, and after saving the document, let me save it. You just come to your KRA portal, upload that comma saved values with all the receipts which you incurred, or expenses, the receipt of expenses which you incurred when offering your consulting and management services, or maybe if it is for interest from T-bill and T-board, the amount which you spend with agents and so on and so forth. Upload all the receipts. So you're supposed to make them as e-file and upload all the receipts which you already have, which are technically related to the consulting work, and hit and click submit. So I'll not get to the nitty-gritties of that, but I will show you when you submit all the total amount of the expenses which you incurred here. You can come here and now confidently adjust them at the section G, which is where we have commission, which is will come at the section 6 where we have in the column 6 where we have non-e-TIMS invoices and receipt. So let me go there now. So let me come here. So it is under section 6, which is here. It is that one at the G. So I want to get to G and input maybe my expenses. We can assume my expenses was for 30,000. If I am able to, that is in the scenario when you are able to validate it. So when I come here, you notice it has technically reduced my tax liability. So I started to show you, if you don't deduct it, the impact which you are feeling when paying your full tax, so that you know how serious it is getting to be in case we don't do good bookkeeping of our receipt or the expense which we incur when doing these transactions. So get back and remove that expense, and we can come and check the tax computation, because we are declaring like we got this income which we didn't incur any expense. You can see KRA is demanding me to pay 202,000 as amount of tax, which is crazy, because I know you incurred a lot of expense when you are doing your consulting work. So in case you want to know how we are deducting those expenses, you can get to me using the contact in the description or using my email, so that we can know how we'll be able to navigate through this, because it is getting hectic when it comes to the validation of this expense, and in case you didn't do bookkeeping of all the receipts which you incurred. So after you are good with everything, though this one will not submit, I'm just validating to show you. When you are through with everything which you are supposed to do, you can come here and validate your sheets. No, I made a mistake. We didn't do the balance sheet area, so just click no, and I need to come under the balance sheet. So because I had not did with the balance sheet area, under the balance sheet, I know a lot of people usually don't. It's so hard to be able to actually verify the assets and the liability which you have. So I would recommend in this case, instead of getting into a lot of troubles where we have other assets, I would recommend you put value 1. So where we have other loans, in case you cannot be able to engage an actuary, you can come here where we have and input value 1. Since this is the annual declaration of your income, not your, because you are not technically a business, you are technically an individual we are not assessing your financial position, rather than you are operating income and expenses which you have. You can put value 1 and then come here at the last sheet. If you are good with the tax which is computed here, but in case you disputed it, you don't agree with non-deducting of the expenses, because technically you cannot do any trade without incurring expenses. But in case you are good with the amount which is here and you want to pay, you can come here and validate the sheet, so that you can file your annual returns. But I know it will not be easy, because submitting these kind of values is crazy. So you need to know how you navigate and be able to get all the receipts which you incurred for that period, to avoid this mistake of being unable to deduct expenses which you incurred because they were non-ETIMS compliant. Even if they were non-ETIMS compliant, and we have been given a solution of the manual upload of non-ETIMS/TIMS invoices, that means they were not transmitted through ETIMS. A lot of people rarely in Kenyan system, they rarely keep their receipts, and that is where it will be getting crazy this year when doing this filing because of those problems. But we shall be able to navigate this system. So let us give a time to validate these sheets for us, and we can be able to continue. So it is validating this sheet. So it is a bit ambiguous and it contains a lot of data. That's why it is taking sometimes. So the sheet are ready to be downloaded. So I just click yes. So you just need to verify where the document are saved, the time and the date, and then you can click OK. Then you need to come here under this section. Then come to where we have return. Come to where we have file returns. Then you need to come here and choose your tax obligation and its income tax resident. Then click next. Then you need to click this, and because yours is original, it will be appearing original. Then you need to come here, choose file, and then click OK. Before we do that, there is something I forgot. Yes, before I submit, there is something we forgot to deduct here, which is the withholding tax credit. I'm sorry for rushing about this. So, because technically, we are dealing with withholding tax, where it means your employer remitted some amount to the revenue authority. So, what does that mean? There was an advance tax which was remitted to the revenue authority by your employer in advance. So, in case of these withholding certificates from, let me get back to these sheets actually. So, just a minute. So, what I mean, in terms of withholding tax, you can notice that this amount of tax was a tax which was paid in advance to by your employer to the taxman. So when you're filing your annual return, you are supposed to claim for credit, which will usually help you to reduce your tax liability from this amount which was withheld by your employer and remitted it to the revenue authority as an advance tax. So how do you do that? So as you can notice, I had an annuity of 11 months, which was an amount of tax paid of 2750. So I need to take 2750. So let me get back to my calculator. So I need to take 2750 multiplied by 11 added to, then we add an amount of the amount which was in the one which was not falling under the annuity of 2613 of 2613, giving us a value of 32,863. I want to copy this amount. Let me copy this amount. So let me come here and copy this amount, and I will need to populate it under the Excel sheets which are here. So this is the withholding tax credit which is here. So I need to come here and populate it here. So you can notice that this amount of withholding tax, which was a tax which was paid in advance, which is helping us to offset the tax liability which is here. So you can notice I had forgotten to offer this credit, which is very important. So it must also be validated via the iTax portal, since for you to get the withholding tax certificate from the iTax portal, it means that the taxman has already received that money from the payer or the person who was paying you the income, which you received 95% of it, or in case it is for interest from TBs and T-bills, it means your income which you received, it was less 15%. That means you received your income at a rate of 85% of the revenue. So what I need to do now, I can go ahead and validate these sheets now. Sorry for that error when doing this demo. It is so important. It's so important for us. So I need to validate these sheets here. So let me do the validation. So technically it will take some minutes to do the validation, and then we shall continue and do the upload and give you an approach and candid review of what you are supposed to know. So I explained about how this year the tax system is becoming complex, and from today we should ensure that any transaction which you are doing, it is eTIMS compliant. So you can be able to generate eTIMS compliant invoice very easily today using eCitizen. You don't need to had registered with VAT, because in the previous year you had to be a VAT registered agent to be able to generate eTIMS compliant invoices. But right now it has changed through the new tax system. So generating invoices has been made so easy. So in case you have any query about how you can generate eTIMS compliant invoices, kindly you can reach me using my contact in the description or using my email, and we can have a conversation about it. Because the sheets are already downloaded, I just click yes, and then we repeat the process. So you just need to check where it has been saved, the document, the date and the time, and then click OK. Then we need to head into the iTax portal where I demonstrated, and then we need to choose the file which is here under the document. So you need to check the time, to check the time because it's so important, and the date. Then there is a simple question here. Do you have rental property? No. And then agree, and then you can go on and do the submission here and submit. So technically, this is how we'll be doing the annual tax return in 2026. So you need to be ETIMS compliant going forward because it was just a tax proposal, but technically it was implemented and some people thought it will not haunt them this year, but it will become so close to impossible to deduct any expense in case you have not incurred it, or in case you cannot be able to validate that you incur that expense. So technically, thank you for watching. In case you have any question regarding tax filing in 2026, that is withholding tax, in case you have any question about the withholding